Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. To Instagram, I'm going to be mainly focusing on everybody over here. But for those that don't know me, I'm Trish. I am founder of Rise and Thrive Coaching Ltd. I have been a health and wellness coach for the last 2.5 years and have always had a heavy focus on mindset work with my clients. And I finally decided that it was time to dig deeper into the coaching world. So this October, I started my life coach certification and I've started launching my very own group coaching programs. And I found that there's a lot of unique pieces that are contributing to burnout and overwhelm for a lot of people. So tonight, what I want to teach you guys is how to ditch hustle culture and understand a little bit more about like, why is this contributing so much to the overwhelm and burnout that a lot of people are experiencing right now. I always do this with the workshop webinar. If you guys just snap a quick screenshot, pop it into your stories, tag me. I'm going to do a $25 giveaway tonight. I always leave it up to you because some people like ordering on Amazon and some people just want some new leggings. So I will send you whatever it is that you want, but snap that screenshot, tag me, and I'll do the draw at the end of this call. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat thread tonight, whichever space you're in here. But what do you want? Like when you sit down and think about your goals, what do you actually want to achieve in your life? I kind of cheated this one a little bit yesterday and put a poll in my stories as well. And the biggest answer was to just have like adequate staffing because a lot of us are short-staffed, overworked. We just want time off of work, wants a fulfilling career freelancing. That's a big one to actually like have it be fulfilling, not just be like another 9 to 5, not having it just be more work, have more money to live your own schedule. We want that time, right? We want that time for ourselves to be able to go and do whatever it is that we want. We want time for self-care routines. We want support from our loved ones, especially when we are starting those new careers. And at the end of the day, none of us want the burnout and overwhelm that comes with it. Like nobody wants to be working 100+ hours a week to get there. Nobody wants to be just like hustle, grind. Like that's not, nobody signs up for that. And so what's keeping us there? Like we have this pit of like burnout and overwhelm over here. And then we have our paradise city living over here. And what's keeping us? What's keeping us kind of swirling around over here? We have like my favorite bad guy to attack is social media. Like it's the root of pretty much all of our problems. but this one in particular can be the most damaging because we have all of these inspirational quotes that tell us to just trust the compound effect, right? Over and over and over again, we're told to just like push through the pain, get comfortable being uncomfortable, hustle and grind, trust the process. We're told that any habit takes 3 weeks. So whether you like it or not, whether you're seeing results or not, just stick with it. Just keep doing it and just like trust that you're going to see the results. And sometimes we hit that 3-week mark and we just aren't seeing results. We haven't lost 20 pounds. We haven't made $4,000. Our marriage isn't just like magically cured because we had a couple consistent conversations, right? And sometimes it can kind of feel like when you're stuck in like a pit of tar and somebody tells you to just try to move your legs forward, like you just have to put one foot in front of the other, right? Just some sort of forward momentum. And the longer you try, the harder it gets because you're putting all of your effort into something that isn't actually going to make a difference in your situation. You are literally burning your energy doing something that is making you zero progress. And sometimes we're just like so laser focused on that because somebody told us that this is what we're supposed to do that we miss that we have a rope hanging like just to the left. We just have to reach out, grab it, and we can climb up out of that pit. Some of us are working as hard as humanly possible and we're just not getting anywhere. We're just not seeing results. And oftentimes it's because the person that was telling us to just like put one foot in front of the other, they came out of a pit of mud. They didn't walk out of tar, right? And it's not their fault. They're not They're not trying to like give us ill advice on purpose. They're not doing it with ill intentions. They have it with goodness in their heart, right? They've seen success with something and they want to pay that forward. They want to recommend that you try keto because they loved it. They love their CrossFit gym and the community that's there. So they recommend that you come with them. They tell you that like waking up at 5 a.m. is the only way that I have time for me. So you should do that. They recommend just cutting up all of your credit cards because like that's going to fix everything. Cancel Netflix, stop drinking Starbucks, right? Like people have these extremes that they're like, if you do this, it will fix your life. And on top of all of those opinions that we're getting from like the thing that we keep in our hands 24/7, we also have the in-person interactions too, right? We have our older coworkers or like our retired grandparents, aunts and uncles, maybe our retired parents telling us that it's just life. It's just part of the process. It's going to suck. They had to do it, so we have to do it. They tell us that success means sacrifice. Like you're going to have to give up some of your freedom to be able to get the things that you want. So they tell us from a young age to just get good grades, go to college, continue to get good grades, but now you also need to be working a part-time job because if you're not paying for everything yourself, like there's nothing to be proud of, right? Like we need to get a good job with a pension so that you can hopefully retire by 55. You should pick up every overtime shift that's offered to you because what if the world shuts down and now you can't pay your bills? And we're thrown into this pit of scarcity because growing up, that is what they knew, right? If there wasn't work out your front door, then there just wasn't work. Whereas now, like we live in this world where work is abundant. And sometimes that's the flip side. That's almost like another pit where we're like, well, I'll just go. I'll just chase the money, right? I'll just go wherever I can make it. And we're just like on and on and on and on and on. And then anytime outside of work that we want to pursue anything else, we're told to just throw our excuses out the door. If we ever think of hitting the snooze button or taking a day off from the gym or saying no to overtime, like we're thrown down into a pit of guilt. One where even when we have something very legitimate come up, like a sick family member, the house floods, like whatever it is, we're told that we should still make it happen, like no excuses, right? That's another social media one. And after all, like we're told that this is just life, right? That's something that we hear often from the older generation is just that it's not easy, it's not fair, life's not fair. That one makes my blood boil all the time. We're mocked for taking mental health days, especially like the younger generation, right? It's starting to get to be a more normal thing. But then when you do go to take it, you're mocked for it. And like someone that's struggling with anxiety has enough anxiety around taking a mental health day off that they don't need more of it because, oh, what is my coworker going to think of me, right? And we start to should ourselves to death because we're told that like we should be doing this, we should be doing that. This is the progress that we should have. You should be married by this age. You should have this many children. You should work this many hours. This is the size of house that you should live in. And it's just should. And it's like there's this gap where we forget sometimes that there are circumstances that we have no control over. Like we can't always control the cost of inflation or the like just what it costs to live. Some of us are just like stuck in this vortex of working as many hours as humanly possible to be able to afford a roof over the bed that we don't have time to sleep in, to fill the fridge full of food that we don't have time to prep. And we're just so busy working that 100+ hours a week. Some of us are working like 4 different jobs at once, which the commuting from one job to another is another expense, right? It's just, we're just spinning our wheels. And then we have like, if you're a parent, if you're a full-time working mom and you have a full-time working husband, and then outside of your careers, your kids are probably in like half a dozen sports that all cost a fortune because you have ice time and you have like the space to rent it and all of their equipment that's needed for it. And then they have tournaments every other weekend that are all out of town, somewhere where you don't know family. So now you also have to pay for gas to get there, the hotel while you're there, the food while you're there, like, and everybody goes for team dinner. So like you have to go out where everybody else is going, or you're not the cool parent, your kids hate you for life. Like we have all of these pressures on us. And it's just sometimes it just feels easier to just put our head down and hustle and grind so that we can barely make ends meet sometimes. And in our current society, this is the number one contributor to burnout, is that concept that we just always have to do more. If I do more, I get more. But we don't leave a lot of room for self-care there, do we? And it's not even necessarily always on these extreme levels either, right? Sometimes it's in the smaller forms, like I just have to wait for a long weekend. I just have to wait to have my vacation. I just have to wait for Friday. Just have to wait for a day on the mountain, or I just have to wait for the kids to go to bed. We put everything in that like wait to rely on somebody else because it's easy for us to go to the back burner, right? If my self-care isn't met, I'm the only one that's going to complain, and I can ignore it pretty easily, right? If you're busy, you don't hear it. So then we just numb it out. So I want you guys for a minute, I want you to imagine that you're driving to work and you see that the car is at a quarter tank. And you tell yourself that you fill it up after work. After all, like, you know that you don't have to do it before work. You have 200 kilometers to empty, and your to-do list at work is like a mile long. You just want to get to work and get started. But by the end of your shift, you've got your flow going, right? You don't want to leave yet. You just want to get it all done. And you know that if you just stay a little late today, there's less that you have to do tomorrow. And the car doesn't actually have to get filled up today. So you stay late and you just tell yourself that you'll do it the next day. And tomorrow comes and work is shit. You just hit the fan. You're short staffed, the computer system's down, you miss all of your breaks. And by the time you get to the end of your 10-hour shift, you can't even remember if you had time to go pee today. Like sometimes those days just happen very easily, especially on a full moon if you work in healthcare. The last thing that you want to do is go deal with more people, more computers, lineups. Like you want nothing to do with that. Plus, in the back of your head, you're tallying it up and you're like, well, Costco lineup sometimes 45 minutes, and that takes away 45 minutes from me doing my to-do list at home, which then means I'm going to have less time for myself on the weekend. So you drive right past it and you go home. And the next morning you wake up and you tell yourself, I have to fill up the car today. Like we make this like mental note. I actually say it out loud, but we make this mental note that like you have to do it today. And you're confident that you're going to get it done because you woke up telling yourself that it was going to happen, until you sit down at lunch and you check your bank account and you still have some money in there, but it's not enough to fill the tank all the way to the top. So you ask yourself, like, if I can't fill it all the way to the top, is it worth it to go sit in line, to go spend my time waiting to fill it up if I can't even do the whole thing? Tomorrow's payday anyways, it can wait. So payday comes, and that morning you hit snooze without even realizing it. You know, sometimes like you roll over and you just shut the alarm off without even knowing. You didn't prep lunch last night because you were just trying to get that to-do list done. And there's no time for you to pack anything now. So you just tell yourself that you'll grab takeout from the cafeteria. And you know that like, coffee kind of counts as breakfast. So I'm not too worried about that. You're running late and you're frazzled because nothing is going right. And when you hop in the car, the gas light comes on, of course, because all week it's just been counting down to it and we're watching it happening. And we have this moment where we ask ourselves, like, why would this happen? Why wouldn't this happen today? Like, of course, we always have that of course moment, right? Especially on Mondays, like, of course this would happen. So you go to the gas station on the way to work and you get there and there's that little cardboard sign that like the cashier had to put up that says no debit today, like Wi-Fi is down. And you go inside and you're pissed at yourself and you're like, I'll just go to the ATM and I'll pull out cash, and that's down too. And we very easily snap at the cashier as if it's his fault that the Wi-Fi is down. We don't mean to do this to them because we know it's not their fault that the tank is empty, but it just kind of happens. And some of us are doing this with our day-to-day life, right? We work ourselves to the bone in hope that tomorrow is going to be better, but that day doesn't really come, does it? How many times have we told ourselves that we'll start the new routine when life slows down? We'll see our friends when we hit our income goal. We can give up girls' night when we're pushing for a goal, right? How many times do we say that we'll take the kids to the water park when we've lost 20 pounds? But then when we hit that goal, we're so caught up in the grind that it took to get there that we blow right past it. We want more. We want to be better. We've seen momentum and we don't want to stop. We're addicted to it almost. And we feel like if we take our foot off the gas pedal, all of our progress is going to be gone. Or sometimes we have that moment where life does slow down. Maybe we are blessed with that, just like the skies part. And what happens, our body tells us how we're going to spend that downtime. We have all this grand idea that like, I can push through the week. I can deal with the crap shifts because next week I'm off. And then we get home and we have a pounding headache. And before you know it, you're spending the next 3 days on the couch because your body is telling you you've had enough. So what do we need to do? Because we don't want to shut down our hopes and dreams. We don't want to just close the laptop on it. We don't want to slow everything down to a minimum, because I think that when we all get our visa statements and it says, if you make the minimum payment, it will be paid off in 32 years. Like, none of us want that. We don't want to wait to reach our goals until we're in our midlife crisis, because that's a whole other can of worms that we're going to have to deal with, right? So I want to tell you guys that you don't need to work harder. You don't need to put in more hours. You don't need to sacrifice your self-care. And you don't need to wait for the weekend to get a mental health release. This is a big one for a lot of like the sledding women that I talk to that say that sledding is your only mental health release. We get winter, unfortunately, like maybe only 6 months of the year. It's a real buzzkill for a lot of us. And then sometimes like we're waiting for that one day to ride. Sometimes it's only one day in a month. It's a lot of weight to put on that day, right? To say, this is my only mental health release. There's a way to create an energy equilibrium. And I say equilibrium because balance is a whole other load of bullshit that we don't have time to get into tonight. It just takes some reflection and digging deeper to create this without feeling like self-care is another thing on our plate, or without feeling like if we say no, that we're going to be 20 years behind on our goals. Because that also so very easily happens too, right? We're worried. The FOMO is always there. That's another social media thing, right? We feel like if we say no to this, like I'm saying no to everything in my life. And I want to know, like, who here feels like they're doing all of the right things? Who here feels like they're showing up every day, and no matter what, you're just not getting the results that you're expecting? Whether it's in your health, in your business, in your marriage, in your friendships. I shared this post the other day, but the algorithm's a bitch, so we're going to go through it anyways. Have you guys ever gone to the doctor because your back hurts and you never feel relief? They send you to the chiro, they send you for massage, physio, they give you some wicked painkillers, and 3 months later it feels a little bit better, but it's still just killing you. You can't sleep. The pain makes you so nauseous that you can't eat. And there's no way that you're getting down on the floor to play with your kids or with your grandkids or with your niece or your nephew, or just get down on the floor to pick up the remote underneath the couch. You're probably thinking that you'll have this pain for the rest of your life. And at this point, you feel like you've tried everything under the sun, but you still just need this to go away, because right now you're just barely surviving. So you go for a second, third, sometimes fourth opinion before somebody finally asks you if you have any other old injuries. And you're asking yourself, like, why does this matter? I'm here for my back, not my knee. But what we don't realize is that injury that we got in high school, the one that like our stubborn teenage brain decided that we didn't need to use crutches for, has a domino effect on our body. And all that limping around meant that the other half of our body had to compensate. So everything just gets like super out of whack. And after 15 years of being just like slightly out of alignment, now all of a sudden our back is feeling the damage. And until we take care of that knee that's causing us to limp around, no amount of work on your back is ever going to amount to anything. And some of us are experiencing this when we work towards our goals. We feel like we've tried everything possible. We've given the compound effect a fair shot. And eventually we feel like we hit a brick wall. We get burnt out, we feel overwhelmed. And some of us even start to resent the people that have been giving us advice all along the way. We don't need someone to throw us another high performance tip. We don't need another slew of podcasts or another planner with a brand new habit tracker. We need our own blueprint. We need something that reflects on our own personal strengths, on our own energy drains, because what lights some up drains others. You guys, just because I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning does not mean that that is your time to shine. I have 2 kids, and they're a perfect example that in the same like nature environment doesn't mean that everybody is going to thrive the same way, because Jackson rolls out of bed ready to hug me and love me, and Zoe very groggily, like a zombie rising out of the grave, gets out of bed and immediately comes to the couch. And if you're like my daughter and you're trying to force yourself into a workout routine in the morning, this is why you're not seeing success, because somebody told you that you have to do it at 5 a.m. And it's hard because a lot of us have spent so long, like so deep in the hustle, that we don't even know what it is. That's just like us kind of feeling like it's a little hard versus literally fighting against the grain of our existence. And then we have our inner mean girl telling us that anytime you go for a new goal, she's going to pull up everything that you've done wrong in the past. She's going to look for all of the evidence on why this is going to be no different. She's going to throw all of these hurdles at you left, right, and center. It's going to be like playing the video game where you're going and you don't see very far on the screen, and then you're going, all of a sudden there's a hurdle and like you didn't even see it coming, right? And we don't want to be judged. We don't want to be shot down. So we just keep our goals in, right? We never put our dreams out into the world, because if we don't tell it to anybody else, it's like it never even happened. We put our dreams and our goals on the back burner the same we do as our self-care sometimes. So we need somebody that can sit down with us and actually dig deeper. Somebody that can listen until you click without cutting you off to tell you, oh, I relate to that. Oh, I remember going through that, right? Because that person is probably the one that went through mud and you're in the tar pit, right? We need somebody that can actually give us the tough love that we need sometimes to stay true to our path, because that inner mean girl is going to pipe up and she's going to tell us all the reasons why we can't do this. And we need somebody that can help us stay on that course that we set for ourselves. And we need somebody that can check in with us regularly, because it's so easy for us to set those New Year's resolutions goals. And then if nobody checks in with us during that month, like by February, they're gone, because it's easy to slip away when nobody has their attention on us, right? And this is why I've made a really big shift in the last month to offering one-on-one coaching instead of just group coaching, because everybody is so unique, and some people can get away with group spaces, right? Sometimes we just need to thrive on doing things similarly with other people, but sometimes we really need something that can help us create our own like crystal clear vision and an aligned action plan, so that we aren't just trying to like grind to get to our goals faster, because that's what produces all of the overwhelm and the burnout again. And this is where I'm going to shut Instagram off, because you guys actually registered for the workshop, so you guys get more of me. But would it be okay if I shared a little bit about what exactly it is that I'm doing with the one-on-one coaching? I have Kim nodding her head, so we're going to go there. So with the one-on-one coaching, I was originally calling this my alignment blueprint, but that's not it. It's the energy equilibrium, because the alignment is a piece of it. But at the end of the day, I want to help you guys create your own energy equilibrium. So what that looks like is when somebody works with me, you get your own breakthrough recipe, which is when we sit down and we hash it all out. We basically demolish all of the hurdles that you have faced. We make sure that we can put a name to all of them, because that's how we overcome them. And then I help you to build your confidence so that you can set firm boundaries, both with yourself and with those around you, to say, no, this is my path. I don't care what you think. Because sometimes we can very easily be strayed when a loved one doesn't see the point in us starting a new workout routine, when a family member doesn't see the point in starting your own at-home business, right? We need somebody that can help us to build that confidence, to stand firm in the ground and stay true to our path. And then I have follow-up sessions, and the follow-up sessions are key because for 2 reasons. For one, we all need those accountability check-ins to actually have that gut check to say, did you do what we said we were going to do over the last 2 weeks? Like, how happy are you with your action? It's not a judgment game. It's not a shame game. It's not like, it's how do you feel about it? Because sometimes we have those external influences that tell us like, oh, well, you didn't do very good, when really like we're proud of how we showed up, right? Or sometimes we need to just say, hey, I could have did better. This is what I would like to do. So I hold you accountable to that. And then it's also that ability to be able to address like the new level, new devil, right? Over the last 2 weeks, what came up that was new? What's something that came up? Sometimes when we solve one problem, it takes a layer off the onion, and now we realize that there was actually something else there. Because oftentimes we say, I don't have time, and then we get time and we start the new routine, and then things go to the wayside again, right? Because there's always something else. So having that consistent routine to check in is a key part of spacing this out over 3 months, because it's just going to take time. It's going to take time for it to set in. It's going to take time to address as many hurdles as we can so that you can walk out of this confident in your ability to create your own energy, to not feel overwhelmed anymore, to recognize the signs of burnout so that they don't knock you flat on your ass again. My dad told me I need to stop cursing in my workshops, but I don't care. Would it be okay if I share a little bit about the pricing as well? I want to be able to give you guys, for sharing this time with me tonight, I want to be able to offer a discount for you guys. So right now I offer my 3-month package for $1,200 Canadian, and I had a Boxing Day is next month. Black Friday was last month. In a Black Friday sale for $900, and I would love to honor that for you guys tonight for getting on with me. To be able to take 25% off is like my holiday gift to everybody that was able to get on tonight. And for anybody that's watching the recording, because I know that life is chaos, kids are in hockey and activities, and sometimes we're just passed out on the couch by this time. There's time zones and everything there. So for the next 24 hours, so today is December 6th, it's 8 o'clock. So until 8 o'clock tomorrow night, I will honor that price for anybody that reaches out to me to ask for more information. I do offer a free 20-minute session. If you're like, oh, this sounds interesting, but I don't know if I'd benefit. I'd love to hop on that quick call with you to kind of hash out one of those hurdles. We'll get you an actual result in that 20 minutes. It's not just going to be talking more about what I do. It's going to be actually getting you a result in those 20 minutes so that we can see if you would benefit from doing that more. So don't hesitate to reach out, shoot me a message, reply to my emails, whatever that looks like. But I would love to help you guys get this under control before the holidays, before January, so that when we do enter January, we can have that full year's resolution and keep things going all the way through 2023. Does anybody have any questions before I stop the recording? Okay, that was a fast one, under half an hour. Did it. Sometimes I talk a lot and I appreciate everybody's patience while I'm doing that. I'm going to stop the recording.